people are using it to earn millions of dollars and to change lives. Now, right now, I want to introduce you to Talayah. Talayah Stovall. She's an entrepreneur, she's a speaker, she's a life coach, she's a business coach, and she's going to come up and give you a presentation to take your life and your business to the next level. Let's give her a tremendous round of applause.
God has empowered each of us with so many gifts and talents, and sometimes we don't even recognize the gifts that are inside of us. God told Moses, use what's in your hand to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. And God has put something in each and every one of our hands as well. And all we have to do is recognize and tap into those gifts. Do you know if we don't use our gifts will start to wither away. There's a slogan I'm sure you're all familiar with, use it or lose it. That's right. I am a person who doesn't put a whole lot of miles on my car. I put about 6,000 miles a year on my car. I'm like the lady who drives to church and the grocery store. So I ran over a nail one day and I had to go to the service station to get him to look at my tire and fix it. And I was waiting for him to come out and tell me how much it would cost to fix that tire. And he came out and he said, you need to get all 4 of your tires replaced. And I said, well, I only ran over a nail with that one. And he said, all your tires are bad. And I'm looking at the tread, it looked fine to me. And I said, well, how can my tires be bad? I don't even drive my car that much. He said, that's the problem. Have you ever heard of dry rot? Yeah. He said, your tires are worn out because they dry rotted because you don't drive your car enough. So today I want to encourage you to dig down and find those gifts. Use the gifts so we don't lose them. So I want to get you to do 3 things today. I want to get you to investigate, evaluate, and demonstrate. Can you say that with me? Investigate, evaluate, and demonstrate. First of all, investigate. Ponder the possibilities. What are your gifts? What are you holding in your hand? What gifts and talents do you have that you haven't released to the world? I want you to just think about it for a second. William Barclay said, there are 2 great days in a person's life. The day we're born and the day we understand why. So what's your why? What are the gifts and talents that you're holding inside of you? I want you to just think about it for a minute. Think back to when you were a child. What are the things that you love to do? What are the things you're passionate about now? What do people tell you you're really good at? What do you do better than anybody? If you don't know your gifts, ask the person you came with. They can tell you. I want you to just think about that for a second. And on the count of 3, I want you to just yell out your gift. How many people got it? Okay, I want to hear you. 1, 2, 3. All right. Those sounded like some powerful gifts. I want to congratulate you on the first step of being able to investigate your gifts. When I was a little girl, whenever I get mad at somebody in my family, I would write them a letter detailing the heinous crimes they committed against me and why I was mad at them and wasn't going to be their friend anymore. My brother called them hate notes, and he got most of them. But as I got older, I found that whenever I was passionate about something, I had to put it in writing. And by the time I was 14 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a writer. But I didn't really believe in my gift strongly enough to think I could make a living doing what I loved. So when my counselor said, you know, engineering is a really good field for minorities and women these days, and you can get a scholarship if you want to go into engineering. So I said, okay. You ever had some really bad advice?
Absolutely.
I was a chemical engineering major for 3 years, and it was absolutely horrible. So I finally wised up. I changed my major to business. I transferred, and how many Harlan nights? I meant to ask you that. Those are the counselors of my Harlans and Falcons in the house. All right, good to see you. So I transferred, and I was blessed again. I got a scholarship. I went to graduate school, and I started working at a bank. And how a person who hates math ends up working in the bank, I don't know. But I was working at the bank, and it seemed like no matter where I ended up, what department I ended up, I always ended up being the newsletter editor or the person who wrote the training manual. It just always kept coming back to writing. See, your gifts are going to rise to the top.
All right now.
My favorite book said, "A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men." Anybody ever heard of a man named Les Brown?
Yeah.
I was at a conference once. I was miserable on my job, so I said, let me go to this conference, see if I can network, meet some people. I'm just minding my own business, walking through the exhibit hall, and you know, some people just talk to everybody. So all of a sudden, this person came up to me, and he linked my arm and said, "Hi, I'm Les Brown, Miss Baby Brown's baby boy. Who are you, and what do you do?" I said, "I'm Talayah Stovall, and I work at blah, blah, bank in this department." He said, "Well, what's your passion?" I said, "I like to write." He said, "Are you any good at it?" I said, "Yes, I am."
I love it.
So he said, "Okay, I want you to fax me some writing samples so I can see." And I guess you see where that road led. So first thing we have to do is really investigate and find out what those gifts and talents are that we have. And the second thing we have to do is evaluate. Scrutinize your skills. Now that I know what I'm working with, what am I going to do with it? How do I mix it all together to make it something that's going to fulfill my life and impact the world? When I coach my clients, I teach them, first of all, we do an assessment to find out what are your skills, what are your gifts, what are your interests, what's your personality. And then once we have that information, we take it and we put it together and match it. These are some of the careers that would fit you as a total person. Anybody ever baked a cake? You know, when you bake a cake, you got to first find out what ingredients you're working with to make the kind of cake that you want to make. You don't put chocolate in a pineapple coconut cake.
Right.
If you're redecorating your house, you want to make sure that you choose the paint colors that are going to go with the scheme that you're trying to put together, because you're going to have to live with it for a while at least. If you're trying to choose a romantic partner, again, you got to make sure you're working with the right ingredients. So make sure you evaluate. So I was working at the bank. I was still miserable. And I went back to the bank, and I was just, you know, anybody ever had one of those jobs where, like 9 o'clock Sunday night, you start to get a knot in your stomach? I'm thinking, I got to go back there again tomorrow. And I was just miserable. And I was going to my job every day, but one day I heard this voice. I was at home. And it said, start cleaning up your second bedroom. Start throwing things away. Get rid of your desktop computer. Buy a laptop, because you're going to be traveling. You're going to need a laptop when you travel. Okay. So I started doing that, cleaning out everything. And so then I got to work, and I was sitting there, and here's this voice again. And it said, start cleaning up your desk. Start throwing away things. You're not going to be here long. And I started getting excited. I thought, okay, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm not going to be here. And so it was November of 2004. And I remember I started thinking, the bank just went through a merger.
Okay.
They're downsizing. People are getting severance packages. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get a package. So I was so excited. And so it's November, and December's coming. I said, I know exactly what's going to happen. Christmas is going to come, and I'm not going to have to come back anymore after Christmas vacation. Well, December came, Christmas came, New Year's came. I went back in January. I was so depressed. I said, God, I don't understand. I thought I was supposed to get a package. I thought I was supposed to be out of here. But the feeling still wouldn't go away. So I remember the date. It was a Friday. It was January 7th, and I was sitting at my desk, and a feeling just came on me stronger than ever. And I said, today's the day. I went in the restroom and I prayed. I said, God, if today's the day, I'm ready for it.
Thank you, Jesus.
So I went and I sat back at my desk, and about 30 minutes later, my boss came over and she asked me to go in the office and talk to her and her boss. So I sat down and they slid the severance package across the table. Now, you know, I was jumping up and down inside. I said, okay. And they said, well, you know, we know you have a lot of stuff. You can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 60 days to clean out your desk. I said, oh, I've already been cleaning out my desk. I said, 2 weeks is plenty of time, but I just want you all to have long enough to plan my part. And then they said, well, you have so many skills and gifts. You have time to figure out what you want to do. I said, oh, I already know what I want to do. I want to write.
Praise the
And
Lord.
I said, and also recently I met Les Brown, and I'm going to do some speaking training with him, so I'm going to speak. And my boss said, Les Brown, he was our speaker at our sales conference. He was great. You got to be hungry. Yeah, that was him. And I'm sitting here thinking, they're laying me off and getting excited about my plan.
Yes.
But that's what happens when you start to evaluate your gifts. You find other people start to get excited about what it is that you're doing. The third thing you need to do is demonstrate. Dive into your destiny. Once you've figured out what it is you're working with and what it is you're supposed to do, don't get caught up in the paralysis of analysis. As Nike says, just do it. Jump in there. When I was working on my first book, I was so excited. I made homemade bookmarks on my printer at home, and I cut them apart, and I keep them in my purse everywhere I went. I was telling people, I got a book coming out. I got a book coming out. I was excited. I went to a networking event. Now, my book is a relationship book. And it's about how we have to first look at ourselves and attract what we are. And it's from a woman's perspective. The principles apply to anybody, but most of my customers are African American women. That's the main target. So I'm at a networking event, and I get into a conversation with a Hispanic gentleman, and he says, I want to buy your book.
Praise the Lord.
And I said, well, it's not out yet. He said, I don't care. I want to buy it anyway.
Man.
I said, okay. So he pulled out a $20 bill and handed it to me, and I said, okay, let me get your change. He said, keep the change.
I love it.
Woo! I said, okay. And I must have been looking confused because he asked me, you have any idea why I wanted to buy your book? I said, no. He said, it was your passion.
Thank you, Jesus.
He said, most people don't have the courage to step out there and do what it is they're passionate about. And I saw your passion. I believe in your dream, and I wanted to support you.
Man.
That was about 5.5 years ago. And about 3 months ago, I got an email. It said, hi, this is Nelson. Remember me? I was your first customer. I bought a book from you. Well, I'm assuming the book is out, so here's my address. Mail me my book. I was pretty excited about that. See, when you get into your passion, and you start using the gifts that God gave you, you're going to find support coming from all kinds of places that you never expected. So I just want to encourage you today to use your gifts. I was encouraged, even though my route wasn't necessarily straight. It was a little roundabout, but I was encouraged to know people like Maya Angelou, who published her first book when she was 41 years old. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Wow. Margaret Rudkin was 40 years old. She was baking in her kitchen. And she started a company out of her kitchen. Anybody heard of Pepperidge Farm? Yeah. Julia Child was 37 years old when she took her first cooking class, and she was 49 when her first cookbook was published. Bernie Marcus was fired from his job at a hardware store in New Jersey. So he and another fired employee decided to open their own hardware store. They called it Home Depot.
Oh, wow.
Ray Kroc, the owner of McDonald's, was 56 years old when he opened his first McDonald's. And Harlan Sanders was 60 years old, homeless, and living in his car when he thought about the fact that he had a special recipe for fried chicken that he could use to help people feed their families inexpensively. Anybody heard of KFC? Yeah. Moses was 80 when God called him out of the wilderness.
All right now.
And Grandma Moses, the famous painter who died at 101, was 76 years old the first time she picked up a paintbrush. So if your life hasn't necessarily taken the straight route that you thought it would take, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's not important when you start using your gifts, it's important that you start using your gifts. You can't go back and create a new ending, a new beginning, but you can go forward and create a new ending. So I just want to share with you for a couple of minutes just some of the results of me getting into my package. I was able to write my first book, Crossing the Threshold, Opening Your Door to Successful Relationships. It's about how to get out of those negative mindsets that make you repeat the same mistakes over and over in relationships, like the doormat mentality, the door prize mentality. Develop ourselves into doorbells. Again, it's about being what we seek. I also have an ebook called 150 Important Questions You Should Ask Before You Say I Do. Has anybody ever had a relationship flashback? What was I thinking? Yes, it's called Delayed Enlightenment. Well, you don't have to suffer from delayed enlightenment if you ask the right questions up front. Also, I've been able to create some motivational audio CDs, Pump It Up. It stands for Pursue Your Passion, Utilize Your Uniqueness, Make a Plan, and Persevere with Positivity. And then with my new business, Vision Catalyst Consulting, my business partner, Kayla, I don't know if she's here, but we have a CD called 7 Secrets to Ignite Your Dreams. It's part of our process that leads you from visualization to realization of your goals. We also do vision board workshops. Does anybody know what a vision board is?
Yes.
I have a couple of them out on the table if you'd like to take a look. For those who don't know, a vision board is a visual pictorial of all the goals and dreams you have for your life. So we put them all out there, and it's a powerful tool because if you're looking at those visions every day, you're going to naturally propel yourself toward them. And just to add a special for today, I wanted to let you know we have a relationship special if anybody's interested in the book and ebook, selling them as a package for a little bit of a discount. The audio CDs are also marked down today if anybody's interested in taking a look at that. And the vision board workshop we have for you specially today. It's usually $99, 2 for $150. If anyone wants to attend, we're doing a 2-for-1 special. If anybody wants to sign up today, our next workshop is on November 20th. So how many of you know that I'm having so much more fun today than I was having when I was living outside of my purpose? It's just wonderful to be able to do what God intended you to do. God has given us so many gifts, but He's not going to come down here and do what we have to do for ourselves. We have to step out there. It's not a matter of whether we're qualified. It's just a matter of whether we have the drive and determination to do it. Success is a mindset. I just want to tell you tonight that this is the Greatness Center, but I believe that you are the Greatness Center. The greatness is in you. It's in each one of these chairs. And when you leave here tonight, this is just going to be an empty building. Because you're going to take the Greatness Center out with you when you go to live a fulfilled life using your gifts and impacting your community. Danny Kaye said, life is a great big canvas. You got to throw all the paint on it you can. So I'm expecting to see some masterpieces from you.
Yes.
Come on, y'all can do better now. Come on, give it to them. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get some value out of that, raise your hands.